one of us went into that meeting thinking we're coming to listen, we are now humbled by the capacity and the direction the minister is teaching us. You don't come to a meeting and you don't know what's happening in the municipality. Not only is the minister exposing us, but is teaching us what is the role of an executing authority in an institution where you are deployed. And for that, I'm humbled. We learn every day. And in 6 months, when you come back on in a quarter, you will find different species of mayors and executive mayors. We'll give you information in our fingertips because we appreciate what you are doing to us. With those words, I would like to say, let's pay attention. The district welcomes you, and thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Executive Mayor Nikki Wenu, the Executive Mayor of the District of Dr. Kenneth KAUNDA. Like I have said, acting agent, just come and read the Honorable Minister necessarily who is here, and if necessary, just indicate their role, and then we will then follow the program moving forward.
Thank you very much. Let me see. Thank you very much, Honorable MEC, and Honorable Minister, Executive Mayors and Mayors, all councillors and colleagues that are here this morning. I'm Ashoko JK, the acting head of the Department for Human Settlement in the Northwest. So, let me see, in our midst we have both officials from Human Settlement at national and province, led by DDG of IGR from national, and also myself within the provincial team. We have the FDA led by the chairperson, and also the provincial office of the FDA led by the provincial manager. We have the NHDRC in our midst, our provincial office based in Rustenburg. I saw MATLOSANA is here with his colleagues also. We also have our municipalities, of course, led by the executive mayors, both of the district of KAUNDA, the city of MATLOSANA local municipality, and Mangwasiki's local municipality. We had also invited Honorable MEC Sawit in the Northwest, but we have requested them that they be outside, since the minister wants to have a community engaging with government officials and the local leadership in the province. Thank you, Honorable MEC.
In your program there, it is written that the MEC will be doing the purpose of the visit, and there will be changes thereof because this is the initiative of the minister. This is the province, and therefore the minister's office, and in this case it is the chairperson, the chairperson of the HDS, who will then be doing. Okay. You'll indicate if you are done, Honorable Minister, but what we obviously are looking at is just to come and hear from the minister's office on what the minister would want to see, what the minister would want also to do how service delivery is also going down to the people. And the main challenges obviously that are facing the province will also be part of what the minister would want to see from the ground as part of the work that she will be doing. If you are the Honorable Minister, whoever would like to looking into that will come so that we then get that purpose and then get to start with the presentation. And if the minister is fine with it, we can then agree that basically what I have indicated is what the minister will want. And we see the projects that are on the ground. We know that there are serious challenges with block projects, with incomplete structures, with serious challenges where people are waiting for housing development and it's not coming to them and so forth. And then all that kind of the situation will then have to be presented, and so that then the minister must be able to chart a way forward on what the province should do, where the province should improve, and what is it that also the minister will be doing in assisting the situation on the ground. Without any waste of time, acting HOD, I am going to request that we then to us a presentation as the first presentation, and then we'll get the inputs as the program inputs.
Thank you very much for MEC as the chair of the session. I expected the colleagues at the back to do the flag presentation. Can we do that? And who's controlling the projector and the laptop? Honorable MEC, and if you allow me, I've already extended my greetings to the Honorable Minister and the leadership that is here this morning. I think without waste of time, as they flag the presentation, I will just continue with the presentation. In the interest of time, the presentation will, amongst others, MEC also deal with the purpose, background. We'll also provide certificate overview, which are written very departmental impact statement, deal with financial performance, and the status of the project that the minister would like to visit and come to conclusion. The MEC has already covered in terms of the purpose. Of course, our presentation is to present the state of the departmental performance and projects in respect of the minister's visit to the Northwest Province. We just wanted, as a background of minister and introductory note, that the Department of Human Settlements in the Northwest was placed under Section 100A, in which the minister issued directives that the department had to implement, and we have been working on that in collaboration with the officials led by the DG at National Department. Amongst the directives that were raised is one is to ensure that the department meets its targets in line with the approved business plan, it approved, and also it addresses the broad project and poor project management, improve audit outcomes. That was as a result of the part of the regular part of expenditure. Just briefly, we want to report, Minister, that in line with the issue relating to the business plan for both 2019-20 and 2021, it has been done, approved, and we have been implementing the business plan to date. And we are currently, of course, running with the procurement in terms of the business plan, which is an ongoing exercise. And we are also putting more effort in terms of dealing with meeting the targets over the 2 financial years, and this is dealing with the part of restoration grants. The business plan was also developing, approved, including the multi-year business plan. I will not deal with the vision and mission, including the impact statement. I want to go straight to the financial performance. To date, as Friday, overall expenditure on both grants is stands at 54%, with 60% on the HSDG and 29% on the upgrading of informal settlements partnership grant. What we have given on the Minister, which was also confirmed by the colleagues at National, is that on the upgrading of informal settlement grants, I think we found ourselves one in terms of reporting because of and when we have been making follow-ups on the uploading or the loading of the business plan that relates to these grants, I was informed that it's not only the Northwest Province, all provinces, this business plan activity to this grant has not been loaded simply because the HSS does not have a module that deals with this. We have been informed that we must continue to report to us and submit a narrative report, which we said we will do because of there been a lot of ground covered with the work we do with the HDA that relates to this part, including the issue relating to internal services, which they have already started in terms of implementation. The following slide is more details that I will not deal with. We are looking into, Minister, as we move to close the third quarter. This is the detail as we move towards the third quarter. There are expected expenditure that we expect to conclude at before this morning when I got the clarity. We have not included the expenditure that relates to the upgrading of informal settlements. Just to give a typical example, MATLOSANA municipality are working the LTA on the parcel of land where the process has been concluded, which have signed off the process for payment through the LTA for that portion of land. And this pressure is to finalize the approval of the variation orders which have been submitted to them. The expenditure that will deal with will be more than 7 million as we close the financial year. I mean, as we close the third quarter. The challenge, Minister, relating to this is more in terms of late submission of claim by our developers, but secondly, the disruptions which affect the payments that we have to do for our own developers and also affecting our reporting capability so that we are in compliant. But over and above this, we had challenges relating to the internal capacity, which we have to date being able to employ extra pair of hands, which is 6 of them, which include one through the transfer from provincial treasury to come and address some of the issues we are faced with in terms of reporting. We want to move to the part that deals with the procurement. Next slide. Yes, since we from August to date, Minister, the 5 months that we have been of the department for the past 2 financial years, Minister, where we have not been able to appoint or procure any new service providers. They've been dealing with such in terms of extension of scope and all of that. But for the 5 months, if we include December, these are we have already appointed for services which include which amounts to more than 180 million, and the biggest allocation of 105 million, which is for 2,300 services, it has been allocated to youth, which is in Rustenburg in Bujanala. The other tenders are to be completed by the end of the third quarter as they are being listed. As we speak this morning, there is an evaluation committee that is evaluating 9 tenders. And today, from 2 o'clock, the selection committee is sitting to deal with about 11 tenders for selection so that we are able to move with the necessary speed and ensure that by the end of the third quarter we will have completed the procurement. And we want to put the minister because of that's where the numbers are. My emphasis is that we will not reach the targets if you are not procuring. So those units and service sites and other issues related to us meeting the targets are locked in the procurement which has not been taking place for the 2 financial years, which we have managed to unlock in the 5 months from August to date. We have listed a number of them that are ready just to showcase how this happens, and as we will be concluding this procurement, Minister, we will be able to demonstrate how much in line. I thought this meeting, Minister, is not that switch off the mic is still continued. So it means the CFO must make sure that we don't fully pay for this service because of that. They will not be very full money. So I was concluding the part of the procurement minister by saying when we will be concluding by the end of the third quarter, we will be able to give a detailed account of how many and what is the value of the tenders that will be to women, to youth, and people with disability. We can only confirm what the one that we have already concluded, which speaks to youth, which is for 2,300 services, which amount to 105 million. The next slide speaks to the audit minister, where we have improved from the disclaimer to a qualified audit opinion, but challenges still remains within the department in terms of records management, which I believe if we put more effort on the records management and getting managers to be accountable, the department has the potential to reach unqualified audit opinion. The issues that we engaged at the last minute since I came over with the AG has led me to see that in the fact there is no much crisis. If you can improve on records management, if you can improve on reporting regularly in and also compliance to the provision of the PFMA and DORA, we can be able to move the departments to its glory days where it used to achieve unqualified audit opinion and to be much better. But the issues with the following slide that speaks to the observations that were raised by the AG, which I've already spoken to some of them, which relate to the submission of the financials, which they have noted the improvement. But we still have to make sure that the quality of the financial statement is up to date so that we can be able to account to all the issues that we transact over the year. The reconfiguration, Minister, which affected even today the capacity of the department, which we are addressing with the assistance of the MEC. We have begun to move with the necessary speed in filling with the vacant positions, and we believe that in the new coming financial year, the issue of the capacity issues is going to be an issue of the past. On the next slide, we just led to, like I made mention of the issue of record management, the issue of lack of internal controls. The AG has made reference to that, which we agree, and also the issue of exchanging notes between us and COPTA, where at one stage we want department to make sure that they adequately respond to the issues that they raise. The following slide just provide more detail on the high-level expenditure against the business plan. This is, I will not go to this in detail, Minister, is to give, just to showcase where the money went. In fact, we wanted to include even the analysis on expenditure relating to the milestones, but we felt that the document would be very, very, very thick if we do that. So we have equally conducted the analysis that goes with the expenditure of the milestones so that the minister will see where the money goes, the trend which the minister went to. From our analysis is that our contractors prefer to do more on the foundations and the workplace, running away from completions because of the continued challenge relating to the quantum, saying it's expensive to
part of the completions, the roofing and all of that, is highly, very highly expensive. The next slide brings me from Q1 to Q3 as at the end of November on how we have provided that detail.
That in Q1 that we targeted in terms of units 939, 773, which we have spent a total of 252 million in the second quarter. And this is as a result of the issues where, as we are moving towards the close of the third quarter, instead of 940 we have targeted, we've only achieved 206, which when we reviewed our process of monitoring projects and conducting contract reviews, which we have completed across the 4 regions, there are a number of issues that they have raised, but we have encouraged developers that they try whether they want to complete the project or they want us to terminate them. We have agreed that they will move towards completing the project, though they wanted us to take note of that they are running these projects at the loss, sometimes they are not even breaking even. But we have informed the Minister that the issue of the quantum adjustment, it is a policy matter which is a national issue. The Minister is dealing with that, but nonetheless, as we know that the policy can be implemented retrospective, they must not wait with anticipation that there will be any changes with regard to that. We've also provided a high-level summary on the expenditure relating and performance that relates to the mining towns. We can commit that we are now finalizing on the mining towns our processes that deals with bulk supply, especially in the mining towns, so that we can be able to revitalize the mining towns by bringing bulk in those areas, which include the city of MATLOSANA, Rustenburg, Madibeng, and Moses Kotane. The following are the details, the municipality in terms of the performance, how we are performing the region, the local municipality, in terms of where the numbers come from across the region and in which municipalities. In the military vets, we want to say upfront, Minister, that the department has not moved with the expected speed because of the issues raised was about the availability of sites. We have entered into a discussion with the Northwest Housing Corporation led by the CEO present today morning, where they are finalizing their body to make available sites where we can build for the military vets and integrate them within society. We are finalizing for the Baisano Molopo in the rural communities, LEC, where there are 26 of the military vets where we will be finalizing the procurement for that by January. We start with the construction for them on that side. On the fleet, we are also accounting that we had targeted 86, though we have achieved 115. This is because of the numbers that we could not achieve in the last financial year, as we have been able to move over that. We have a number of catalytic projects within the province and the Minister, which includes Bogamoso, which includes also the MATLOSANA that we will be taking the Minister through. So I will not talk to these ones for now. We'll deal with them when we deal with the product profiles. The next slide provides a high-level summary in terms of the sites, how much we have spent, how many sites we have targeted, how many sites we have achieved to date, and also the issue of the title deeds, which I want to confess, Minister, we are not doing very well in terms of the title deeds generally within the province, and we have put in place an intervention. We are almost done with appointing a panel of conveyancers that we want them to assist us with the title deeds. What the analysis we have done, it says to us that most of the developers, they prioritize building the house and dealing with the rest. That has to deal with the issue of the title deeds. They build the house, and for us to do a title deed, you need a site, you don't need a house. So we have then resolved as management that we are appointing a couple of conveyancers as well for each and every housing project. We separate the allocation for the title deeds, and we then appoint the conveyancers who will run immediately as they deal with the construction, so that we can improve on the provision of title deeds. The following slides are a summary of the block projects that we have identified, where we have already done an assessment, what we call the forensic investigation with the NHBRC, which we have already started with the construction. Others we have completed, others are under construction. The only ones that we are finalizing is on the MATLOSANA 8,000, ones that we need to finalize the part of the procurement to unlock those houses. We appreciate, Minister, the strategy that has been developed by our national colleagues, which was discussed at both technical and MINMEC, which is a multi-year type of strategy to unblock all the incomplete projects that exist across the Republic, including our province. And we will be moving with speed with the team led by Dr. Shabani to make sure that we are able to deal with that. So this provides a list of all the block projects in the province on how best we can be able to deal with that. I want to move straight to the status on the projects in Dr. Kate. This one, it provides the profiles of the projects that we will want as per the request from the Minister's Office for the Minister. One of them relates to the Alabama Extension 4, which have 951 subsidies, which the contract will be ending by end of 2021, where we would want to take the Minister, if that will still be allowed to do that, so we can be able to deal with that. And we show that for that project, all the beneficiaries were being approved. And to date, in terms of the completions, from 951, we stand at 947. And we know there was an issue raised when we did the local inspection about the quality of the house. Minister. Immediately when that came to us, we then engaged with the NHBRC to go and conduct the assessment. They have already done that, and they have the briefing that tells us whether the problem with the house is completed. And I think when we be visiting the site, if we still do that, Minister, the NHBRC will be able also to provide a technical advice on the status of that project. The issue of why we have not done the 951, we have also provided the issue remains that relates to the dispute of the four sides, and also what we have proposed as a way to address and make sure that the project deals with that. The second project that we want the Minister to deal with is the MATLOSANA Special Infrastructure Residential Project, which is more, or we mostly refer to it as the catalytic project, which is implemented by the city of MATLOSANA, where they work in partnership with MXN Development Construction. This project is monitoring and overseeing the project is done at two levels. There are two structures. The strategic structure, which is chaired by national in by the DG, which involves the HOD for the Northwest Department, and also the MM of the city of MATLOSANA, including the developer and the HDA, which sits on a quarterly basis to look into challenges that might be experienced so that we can be able to unlock. But over and above, there is the technical task team, which is chaired by the chief engineer within the department, which also includes the MATLOSANA representative of the developer and the HDA, which oversees day-to-day activities and also reporting on the progress of the project itself, which it aims to address about 88,500 housing backlog within the municipal area, which is more of a mixed development. It deals with both fleets, it deals with BNG, and also looking into the affordable housing that has to be there. But over and above that, we expect an activation of socio-economic part of the amenities on site, so that the development does not turn into a dormitories that used to be before, but it also takes offices that it must provide for the other issues. This is a municipality for, and and this project is funded from Minister through the grant, the HSDG grant, which each and every financial year based on the assessment and accountability by the municipality on the previous transfer that we had done, the account on how the money was used, and provide a detailed expenditure report, which they did before we dealt with the transfer of the request that deals with more the issue relating to bulk supply this time around, and also the BNG. So which for the year, this year, we have transferred 250 million, which before that was done, we had to ensure there is compliance to DORA. It was, of course, being gazetted, and necessary compliance issues were followed and also were reported to the CFO national in terms of the proof to that respect. We had to do that, Minister, to improve on the challenges we experienced before. You are all aware that in the last financial year, when we did the transfer, it was not compliant, and we had to make sure this financial year, each and every step that relates to compliance with the DORA and the PFMA is followed. The following slides provide the details of the work that has been done today, which deals more with the issues dealing with civil engineering services, the internal services, both both sewer, water, and roads that they have completed today. They know that they are still in construction in different extensions, from extension 3, 5, 6, 10, and 11, and including the extension 9 or 12, where we are dealing with this project. And the municipalities here, they are also equally looking into it closely in terms of monitoring. On site, Minister, you will find there is also show houses. There is the construction of the BNG has commenced last week. As we speak now on site, there is a young women constructor who is currently busy with the brickwork, which we will, if maybe the Minister will not mind it and the leadership, we will want, we know we have not included that, Minister, we will want if the Minister, the ANC and the engineers would pass by and see and maybe lay 1 or 2 bricks in the brickwork that is continuously running now on site, which deals with the BNG on the side. So the rest is more detailed, Minister, that deals with the extent of work that we have done to date on site, and also the construction of the sewer lines in different extensions around the MATLOSANA part of these construction. The BNGs an intervention. When you go to site, you see there are a number of checks. There is an intervention to address that. The same that has already been done there is the sewer and the water service, including roads. So we want to move now in the issue that relates to the issue that deals with the BNG. Lastly, we are on the beneficiary administration. We have appointed the conveyancers has been appointed by the developer to undertake application of 1,667 beneficiaries for the part of the extension 10, so that we can be able to move with the necessary speed. There are challenges, of course, that we are experiencing, amongst others, it relates to the delays in the commissioning of ESCOM substation, which is supplying the development. There's also a construction progress delay due to the unavailability of funds. This is a multi-billion project which we only fund per year based on what is ready in terms of the project readiness metrics, what can be ready to be funded from the side of the municipality and their partner. They have raised the challenges to say it delays the speed at which they might have to move. But lastly, a project where the national department have moved in working with my team to conduct a monitoring on site to assess the project, and the report was done, and which was shared with the DG, which was shared with me also, which indicated good progress and raised almost similar challenges, more especially in terms of funding that might be the delay to complete the project on time as planned. So, Honourable Minister, I'm going to stop here. The following project profiles relates to our visit with the minister in Mozambique.
Is there an arrangement of the voting mic?
While we're waiting, Honorable Minister, I don't think you mind to come, maybe just to. Yeah, otherwise. Thanks. Is it on? Can you hear me? Okay. It doesn't look like the mic is working as well. Okay. Thanks, MEC. Let me greet the executive mayors who have joined us. The executive mayor for the district, Councillor Nikki Wayman. It's so nice to call Councillor. I really said comrade. And also let me greet Executive Mayor of Makwasi Hill. I've asked that we join together here so that we can be able to deal with some issues. Executive Mayor of MATLOSANA, Notoko is not here. Let me greet the chairperson of HTA board who has joined us, Dr. Rachidanga. And all other entities that have joined us, the CEOs who are here. HOD, DDG, who is leading the technical team from national and the local municipality stakeholders. I'm not yet doing my input, but I think HOD, there are several things that would want you to clarify together with the teams. Let me start with the issue Makwasi Hill Extension 18. I did speak to the leadership here. Why are we not paying service providers there? The second issue, I would want to get an understanding what's happening in Extension 40 Gun and how are we dealing with some of the issues around illegal occupation. Are we aware? And what is it that we are doing there? And I'll talk to other issues. You spoke about, maybe you'll have to clarify the issue that you are talking about around contractors running away. I'm not so sure what did that mean when you said contractors were running away, something like that in your presentation. Now, part of the concern, MEC, I have is seeing procurement happening at the last quarter of a financial year. In terms of accounting, we sometimes suspect it's fiscal dumping. You are expected to perform a service for a particular financial year. Now, when you go and procure on the last quarter, the possibility is that when I report in terms of the APP, because your targets are my targets, I'm not going to meet my targets. Because performance is not financial performance. It's the service. It's the output. Our role, colleagues, we are not procurement officers, or I'm not Minister of Procurement. I'm Minister of Human Settlements. When I have met my target and I report to the President based on the performance contract, it's on the basis of title deeds that have been handed over. It's on the basis of houses that have been handed over, service stands that have been handed over, and also the issues around social housing, the FLIPS program. It's not on procurement. Now, you are not telling me and the leadership here of the recovery versus our targets. Because what we expect is not the procurement. What I expect is for you to tell us that we have the following targets based on our annual performance plan as the province. We have the following targets and based on the business plan that the minister has signed, which is my predecessor. Because we have to perform versus that. Now, you need to tell me, Minister, we are sitting here. I couldn't see the performance area. I see 67 performance of financial accounting. But I'm not seeing percentage in the context of delivery. Northwest has not handed over a house, if I'm not mistaken, for the last 5 years. So, but you've been spending money. So I'm not interested in spending money. I'm interested in the houses so that I can know that we are going to deliver the houses and the service sites. But there is where you are talking about payment that were made. For example, there are areas where payments have been made earlier on and all that, which in the presentation are reflecting October and November. So your link between your procurement process versus your targets in terms of implementation and us meeting the targets. Then you spoke about informal settlement grant, and you indicated that HDA is assisting. Now, what I want to understand from you, how is that done? Are we transferring money into HDA, and HDA doing what in that area? Because as I said, what we want to understand is we are formalizing settlements, we are providing basic infrastructure, temporary. What is it that we are doing around that grant in detail so that we are clear on what we are achieving? Because one of the things I'm interested in that I've been saying to HDA, they are not a bank. So provinces have tended to transfer money into HDA when we fear that that money is going to be lost. And then it goes and sits, and then towards after the first quarter of the new financial year, you go and say, no, bring our money back. It's not going to happen. So we'd want to understand that arrangement, and the CEO and the teams are here, and the new chairperson of the board, they are here. So they'll also have to assist us. And then, you on slide 34, your blocked project. I don't know if we all understand what blocked projects is. Because in the block projects, as you account on slide 34, you also means that then you go to certain projects, you say completed. My understanding of block projects is the projects that are not finished. We have not finalized them. So what do we mean when we're saying they are completed? Because completed projects must be out of the blocked projects. And the reason I'm saying this, because it means you are giving us wrong data that we are utilizing nationally to determine, because this is one of my priority areas, to determine where the interventions needs to be. So if it's completed, why is it sitting on blocked projects? Then you talk about the catalytic project in terms of compliance. You have not been complying with DORA, even now. I wrote a letter to the MEC last week. That's why your tranche for this month was supposed to be in on Friday. It didn't come. And part of the compliance with DORA, it's not only compliance in terms of your gazetting. You were late on gazetting the 250 million. But secondly, you have not explained the condition, because as you transfer, we would want from National to understand the conditions that you've put to protect the money into MATLOSANA municipality. Mayor will tell you, as I arrived, I asked him these questions. Because I signed the letter to the MEC to say we will withhold your latest tranches on the basis of non-compliance with DORA provisions. Now, the last point, as I was asking informally there, to say you are not reporting on emergency grant. And I'm understanding the response is that you do not have emergency needs, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked because having been worked here in my other capacity for months in this province, I know for a fact that you do need emergency grant. And the question is, why has the province decided to say they do not need an emergency grant? And what happens? Because, for example, right now there are heavy storms. Houses are going to collapse. How are you going to respond to them? If there's a disaster in the province and you've said you do not need emergency grant. Rains, heavy come, take out a couple of houses in a particular area. We are going to wait for the KAUNDA process of disaster declaration, whereas we have. And KAUNDA will not help you because they know that Human Settlement has put in place a grant for emergencies, for example. But not that. I don't know if colleagues remember that provision of a shelter is a constitutional obligation on government. Now, this is what it says. It says those indigenous people and the most vulnerable, government has an obligation to provide for them. It's a human rights issue. If you find a senior citizen sitting in a house that is likely to cause them to die, let's say fall on them, it's an emergency issue. It's a human rights issue. We have an obligation to provide immediately. Because if MEC and myself can walk out and we find a senior citizen staying as the most vulnerable in our society, staying in a house without a roof or a house that is about to collapse. And if that house can collapse, do you know that we can be taken to jail? If that person dies. That's why I don't understand in what context we would have taken a decision as a province that we do not need an emergency grant. So I'm looking for a turnaround strategy of improving service delivery in Northwest, and I'm not hearing it, MEC. The conversation here is not a tick box. The conversation is about us identifying the gaps, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then we say, what is it that we are going to do about them? Another thing over time I've been trying to communicate as I move from one province to the other. You would understand, you are the 8th province that I'm visiting. The last one will be Western Cape in January. And then I'll do the rotations again. And the issue here is that we are one team. So there's no hiding of information from us. There's no putting a doll and wrapping that doll in a nice plastic wrap. Because it's not going to help us as a sector and a portfolio. It's for us to say these are the challenges, and one understand where the department is coming from, HOD and MEC. And that's why you are under administration. And that's what I said to the team, to say the national team also has to shoulder responsibility. Because part of what we have an obligation is to provide support. But I cannot determine the support the province needs if I'm not given the actual fact and the actual picture. I will leave here with a beautiful picture and a smile to say things are happening, we are on track. Come the financial year end, we have an egg on our face. As it is now, in Parliament I've been called tonight actually there's a meeting, where I must account why the portfolio had to have adjustments downward in medium term, meaning that what we were allocated, National Treasury is saying that we are not spending. So I must account. So there's no new person, and that's what I said to the colleagues. I can't go to Parliament and say I'm new. The question is, what is it that I have done? Whether 3 months in the portfolio or whatever, it's immaterial. So whether I was saying to the mayors, whether there are 3 weeks, zishona khona sonke, we are going to have to work. So equally, you can't account for August. We arrived the same time, HOD.